We're going to talk about do big things, how to cast vision and create a culture of possibility. So Sunny is no stranger to starting fires. She's a co-author of the best-selling business book, Rare Breed, a guide to success for defiant, dangerous, and different. I love that. She's also co-founder and CEO of Motto, a brand strategy culture company that works with CEOs, founders, and leaders to create brands and ideas worth rallying around. She's a high-octane keynote speaker and a provocative columnist for Fast Company magazine. Her fierce vision and rare intellect have made her a highly sought-after advisor in business strategy for Virgin, Google, Microsoft, and Hershey's. She's been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, The Wall Street Journal, Inc., and GDUSA's top 25 people to watch. So right now, I'd like to turn it over to Sunny Bonnell. Hey, Sunny.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much, Greg. I really appreciate that.
Great.
Well, hello, everyone.
Go.
All right. Is okay to go?
Yes.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Do Big Things, how to cast vision and create a culture of possibility. As Greg mentioned, I'm Sunny Bonnell, and I am on a mission to create a world where visionary leaders are the rule, not the exception. So thank you so much for being here with me today and letting me share some of my ethos and philosophy with everyone. I bet a lot of you are leading companies and teams and you feel pretty chaotic right now. Maybe in the chat, if you can drop me kind of a thumbs up. I know we're all feeling this crazy pressure. And I can promise you that we are all feeling the effects of these insane times and that we're living in. And there's really no playbook for how to deal with it, because change and innovation has become an obsession for us all. It is all we can think about. What's next? How do we innovate? How do we evolve? And everyone is so desperate to find some secret formula to really future-proof our businesses. And it is shocking to me that the very thing that should really be the lifeblood of every company is still such a mystery. On the one hand, we know that you can't keep doing things the way that we've always done them. We need to do big things. We want to do big things. But so many of our cultures and so many work cultures are really not designed to support big ideas. We get told that what our teams need at this time, we read Fast Company articles, we read Forbes articles, we are on LinkedIn, we're seeing the chatter out in the marketplace. And what we keep hearing is that we need strong leadership. And while I believe that that is true, I think there's something that we need that's even more important and more true. We need to be great leaders, but we also need to be great visionaries. Vision, it is the highest form of leadership. You cannot do big things without casting big vision. But what is vision? It is actually very misunderstood. It is the single most effective governance tool that you can possess as a leader. It is a picture of the future that you aspire to create for the people that you wish to impact. It is not some version of, we will be the best company ever. I know many of you listening right now have something or some version of that in your PowerPoint or keynote right now. I'm going to tell you how to break away from that. Vision is the most useful tool when it focuses on your company's impact on its customers or society, when it isn't about you, when it is about the future that you hope to create, the cause that your people and your stakeholders and the people that believe in you are actually fighting for. So a great vision should really read like an inspiring new reality and get everyone excited to build it. But here's what's crazy. The problem is that only 0.1% of leaders are visionary. That is 1 in every 10,000 leaders. Just think about that for a minute. 1 in 10,000 leaders. The problem for all of us here in this room is that there's a good chance that they're not here. So again, think about that for just a moment. 0.1% of all companies are led by a visionary. How many people on your team would describe you as a visionary? And how many people on your team would you describe as a visionary? Visionaries are not conventional thinkers. The very act of vision is an act of rebellion because it's a future that you cannot see. You are trying to strive for something that most people just cannot, in their mind, really understand. And it's a deliberate shattering of norms that invites, quite frankly, humiliation and sometimes potential failure, because being a visionary is really hard. So why do most people would want to do it? They don't, because the high degree of risk of failures is extraordinarily high. And neither school nor professional life and experience, it really teaches you how to think like a visionary, how to run a company like a visionary, or really to how to accept the emotional toll that comes from being a visionary, because visionaries are a rare breed. They make creative leaps that to the outside world mostly seem crazy. But luckily visionary thinking, I believe, can be learned and it can be taught. Because if there has ever been a time when we need to give ourselves permission to dream big and to do big things and to think like a visionary or be a visionary, it is absolutely now. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. So, what is my relationship with visionary thinking? So, as Greg mentioned earlier, I have had a long history in the business world. 17 years ago, in a very small little coastal South Carolina town, my co-founder and I launched like a comet into the business world and started our brand consultancy, Motto. We were 20 something year olds. We had $250 in our bank account and we had never run a company. We had barely worked for anybody else. And everyone told us that we were going to fail. And from the beginning, we were swimming across this kind of rip current of doubt. People said we were too young. We were too female. We were too inexperienced. We were too broke to succeed in a world where admin were making the rules. But we had something that many people don't, and that's vision. We looked around and we felt that we could do brand differently. We also got frustrated by the early days in 2005 when we would ask our clients, what is your purpose? What is your vision? And it was just more of a curious question, but it was just something that not many people had the answer to. And we envisioned a world where visionary leaders should be the rule, not the exception. And so we created a company to try to change that narrative. And it was audacious and it was ambitious, and we had no rule book and we had no one to look up to or to ask questions because we were very young. But guess what? We had a vision and we started to chip away and create that world. So now Motto, 17 years later, is a global strategic branding agency that powers the world's most innovative companies. And we really champion big ideas and we help them leap to what's next. So what we love nothing more than to do is to bolt on to powerful visionaries and help them and their C-suite and their executive teams launch like a rocket into whatever it is that they're doing. Big ideas are at the heart of what we do. And it is important that the work that we champion is about driving vision, driving culture, and driving brand through every aspect of the organization. We've worked with over 1,200 companies across 60 countries. And the thing that we have seen time and time again, still to this day, is that there is a surprising lack of visionary leadership at the top. Well, why is that? It's because vision is a word that is so central to success in business that it's become almost talismanic. It brings to mind images of Nikola Tesla or Jobs and Woz, like building that first Apple computer in a garage. Innovation is the engine that powers today's economy. It mints unicorns. It creates billionaires. It gives us brands that become verbs like Google and Zoom. Just about everybody wants to be an innovator. Or at least we know the first commandment of modern business, which is innovate or disappear. The reason why leaders struggle to communicate their vision is because we're so preoccupied with outcomes. We focus on productivity. We plug people into the culture like Legos. We think that that's the key to building a successful company. There's a lot of people that ache to be era-defining visionaries, but the bottom line is that the organizations that they're working for or that they're leading are stuck between conformity and innovation. Again, the problem is that while leaders know that big things and having innovation and culture is the answer, most companies do not know how to do it. So where does vision go wrong? Well, you can't do big things without big vision. In companies, most visions are cookie cutters. They're stuck in a deck. It sounds something like, we want to be the biggest, the best, the fastest, the most innovative, the most disruptive, the healthiest, the loudest, the tastiest. We want to be the most blank in the blank, or the next Uber of insert your company. The problem with that is that they all have something in common. There's nothing original, and you can't be an original if you don't think, act, and communicate like an original. So you have to stretch forward to try to reach beyond your grasp and give something to people that they want to believe in. Because what do great visionaries do? They stretch our current view of the world. And what is the impact of that? Well, the impact of visionary leadership is when you have it, your people own the vision. Everyone moves in the same directions. Others champion it without you needing to ask. More is done faster with fewer resources. Energy is optimized. You're a magnet for top talent. And when you don't, the vision is fuzzy. It lives in your head. Everyone moves in a different direction. You drag people along. You can't get it done, even with a village. Energy is wasted, and you attract average workers. So my question is, what are you fighting for? And is it crazy enough? Can you pin it down to one sentence? Is it clear? Is it memorable? Do people want to galvanize around it? Because vision unlocks big ideas. That's why this work is so important. Because vision is going to unlock a big idea that's going to future-proof your company. Because the world's greatest companies, we all know they're more than famous names and coveted products. They're ideas. They're ideas that started in the heads and hearts of a few fiercely ambitious people, and they end up touching millions of lives. But where does that begin? It starts with a visionary. It starts with a visionary who sees a world that doesn't exist and starts to create it. And they tell somebody, and that person becomes a believer. And then guess what? Now you have a whole team, and that team's trying to move that vision forward. It has to start from the inside out, from your head as a visionary to the people around you, from the DNA of the culture to the culture of the company. And it can even start from a personal fire, personal passion, where you can get people to believe in your big idea. At Motto, we call this something very particular. We call it a big idea worth rallying around. We've defined this idea worth rallying around as the signature idea that sits at the heart of your business and makes it famous. It is something that people will fight for, they will believe in, and they will support. And the minute you articulate it and hear it clearly, everyone else around you can too. Because when you forge the company around a big idea worth rallying around, it gives voice to your vision. It can power the business. It can attract extraordinary talent. It can make an astonishing impact on the world. And when big ideas stick, it energizes everyone around you. What is a big idea worth rallying around? It is an idea that's big enough to matter. It feels both instinctively obvious and yet somehow new. It is an idea that gets your brain firing and your heart pounding. It is an idea that a single brand can own and 1 million people will buy. It is an idea that's compact enough to remember, but bigger than any of its parts. It is an idea so charged and exciting that others will champion it even without you needing to ask them to. And the result is more productivity, more innovation, and faster decision-making. Particularly when you have an idea that sits in the middle, what this does is internally, the vision and the big idea anchors values and drives the culture strategy for how you do things. So it impacts everything within the company. Externally, a big idea is going to drive the brand strategy for how you're positioned by creating competitive difference, by establishing key narratives, executing the brand across the most impactful parts of the business. And again, what does this end up doing? It drives productivity, better innovation, faster decision-making. Guess what it creates? It creates a culture of possibility. This is the concept of our next book. And it is a topic about creating a culture of possibility is the kind of culture that enables big, daring, game-changing, big ideas and allows you to create the conditions to allow those big ideas to take flight. It is in direct contrast to more common cultures where your ideas go and disappear. Because when you have a culture of possibility, you have a vision that stretches and dares. People believe in what you do. Values grant permission and empower people. Systems and processes, they set your people free. And when you don't, vision is a question mark. People don't have heart for what they do. Values lead to compliance and conformity, and systems and processes hold people back. It also curbs people's desire to fully commit. Stephen Harvey calls this the red wagon. There are people who will stay in the wagon while you try to pull the wagon up the hill. And then there are people in a culture of possibility that get out of the wagon and they try to help you push that wagon up the hill. That's what you want. That's the talent that you want. Those are the people that you want. So I ask you again, what are you fighting for? When you leave here and you leave this presentation, think about this question. Ask yourself, what am I fighting for? What are my people fighting for? If you can communicate that to your company, you can then create the conditions to create a culture of possibility. So I'm going to leave you with one thing. It's one thing that I've learned over the years is that leadership, culture, and brand are inextricably linked. By being here and listening to me today and all the other speakers, it means that you're a leader of the company and you have the ability to empower others. I've coined a new term for CEO, and it's culture enabling officer. Every single one of us has the ability to be a culture enabling officer. That means that we have the ability to set the tone, to enable the culture that we want, to encourage the culture that we would like to have. So ask yourself, are you doing big things? Are you creating a culture of possibility? And if you are not, now is the opportunity to have the single most important tool that you have, which is, am I creating the conditions to allow big ideas to thrive? Thank you so much. I'm Sunny. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me at wearemotto.com. Feel free to reach out to me and connect with me, and let's have more conversations about this. Thank you all for listening to me today. I really appreciate it. I turn it back over.
Sunny, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I could listen to you all day. Of course, we talked before this and we're like, okay, we got to stop because we're going to keep going and going and going.
We're going to just keep rolling.
So,
yeah,
exactly. So I think the one thing I want people to do today, because especially with your presentation, is people, you have an obligation today to take what you're learning and spread that into the world. So if people weren't able to get on this call and hear Sunny talk, please make sure that once the recording is available, you point them to that. It's information that everybody needs to hear at this point, and actionable as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Sunny. I appreciate it.